Season 7 is brought to you and Zenway Productions. Presenting partner, McDonald's. The road to glory has never been tastier with McDonald's. Catch all of the MPL SG Season 7 action and complete the experience with a crispier crunch with the new and improved Chicken McCrispy with Mac Delivery. Comfort in mind. Welcome one and all to MPLSG Season 7 Playoffs Day 2. Top teams right here in Singapore duke it out. And yesterday we have sadly said goodbye to two of our teams, and that is Evil as well as Vanguard Esports. Now, the top 4 teams stand before us, and unfortunately by the end of today, we will be saying goodbye to one more of our team here at MPLSG. So, who will emerge victorious and vie for that crown? And that is the champion of MPLSG. And head on over to the MSC 2024. We can only find out on Sunday. Now, we're located right here at Scape. Now, this is in the hearts of the iconic Orchard Road. So, if you're watching stream right now, head on over and join us here in the crowd to feel the buzzing energy that we have. And that is the live playoffs that's currently happening today and tomorrow. Now, the first matches that are going to come up real soon, we'll be seeing them in a few moments' time. But first, let's take a look at the match schedule. So now, on your respective screens, we can see starting off the show, and this is the upper bracket finals. We will see MIP Flash going up against RSGSG. A little bit of a replay as to grand finals in MPLSG Season 6. Now, match 6 will be the lower bracket semifinals, where we see Asterisk going up against Bleed Esports, happening at 5 p.m. today. Well, we want a matchup for today, and it is a promise. Close fights with high-octane gameplays. It's going to be happening at the Land of Dawn. Definitely matches that you don't want to miss, as we see for our boys vie for hashtag our pride, our passion. So without further ado, introducing to you guys match 1 for the day. A little bit of a recap as to what happened in playoffs of MPLSG Season 6 Grand Finals. We see the same two teams, NIP Flash going up against RSGSG. But this time round, if you think you know the outcomes, both teams now have brand new different rosters, exciting gameplays, and more to offer. And this is why it's a match that you don't want to miss. Starting off with the familiar faces of NIP Flash. Now, NIP Flash stands before us confident as ever. Will they be bringing out surprise picks right here for this draft? We can only find out here today. Going up against our defending champions, NIP Flash, presenting to you RSGSG. So yes, RSGSG has made a wonderful win earlier on yesterday for match 2, pushing Bleed Esports down to the lower brackets. Now, will they steamroll on this victory from yesterday and take this match against NIP Flash? Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you match 1 for the day. Now, the boys are getting ready to head on over to their respective battle stations and logging into the Land of Dawn real soon. Now, once again, this is a promised high-octane game that we can be anticipating, perhaps a rematch of what happened earlier at MPLSG Season 6 Grand Finals. How would the tides turn? I don't know, but we're definitely excited to find out. So let's hand our time over to the casters to find out more. Take it away, boys.
Guys, playoff day 2. I'm Kwasong. This is Abstract. This is Holler. Guys, how are we feeling?
Well, coming into day number 2 after a pretty hectic day 1, I think that looking at 2 BO5s is gonna be, well, kind of like a bittersweet feeling, I guess. More games, but it's also kind of more tiring for the players.
That's true, but look, I am super excited, right? This is the Season 6 finals, but we get to see it one day earlier?
We are where we're supposed to be, right? But going into this season, we knew what the top 4 was going to be. I called Asterisk. I feel great about that. I need to brag, and I need to show that to the world, right? Because of the fact that they're in. But now that we have all of the top 4 teams into this one, I think this is going to be super exciting to see what happens at the end of the day.
That's true, that's true. You know, I'm a little curious about how the storyline is going to turn out, right? I mean, last year, we had Flash, of course, managing to win the whole thing. RG being this close to winning it, you know. So I'm pretty sure this time around we're not going to see any misplays like that. But I'm really excited to see whether RSG this time around will be able to take over Flash. But speaking of Flash, bring us through the lineup, Abstract.
A very different Flash as compared to the previous season. We have Diablo, Hades, Katizi, Lolzy, and Vanix. All 5 of them together, as well as Puski and JPL are vying for the crown. And it's very obvious that they have went through quite a lot of practice, a lot of training to get them to where they are now, your fan favorites.
Yeah, fan favorites. I mean, they've shown us a stellar performance during the regular season where they weren't even really taking things seriously. But on the other side of the field, we have RSGSG. Holler, floor is yours.
Okay, RSGSG, this is a team that was the only team that beat NIP Flash in the regular season. So let's introduce, of course, Closer, Bray, Godzilla, Derry, and CS. This is the team that we have huge expectations for. In the beginning, we didn't really understand where they were going to be, but seeing them now and starting to kind of hit that peak, this could be a monumental game.
Yeah, not to mention, this team has grown exponentially, right? I mean, when they first fielded the first week, they were looking as if they were a little bit shaky.
Wonky,
yeah, a little bit wonky, a little bit shaky. But as the weeks went by, they grew stronger, and now they're finally here. Upper bracket finals, right? So honestly speaking, my expectations pretty dang high.
I do want to see a little bit of a flip of the script because we have saw before between RSG and Bleed. I mean, we know that RSG definitely played a very strong game, and of course they have practiced a lot in order to make sure that they don't lose to Bleed again. But are they going to be doing the same thing whereby they will be able to hold themselves against Team Flash?
Yeah, that is true. Now, taking a look at NIP Flash's stats at this point in time, guys, Banix 806 GPM. This is actually an improvement from yesterday.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely better by, I mean, probably like 20 or 30 GPM, but that 20, 30 GPM is a big amount.
It's a big difference, especially when you're crossing over the 700 GPM threshold, right? So honestly, Lord Vanix is epic when it comes into the gold lane. So all eyes will be on Vanix versus CS, in my opinion. But not to mention, we also have other players like Lolzy, Kratisi, Hades, and Diablo. Lolzy yesterday, he was on fire. His kill participation, 71.58%. Not the highest, but like I mentioned yesterday, he could just be that statue. He just needs to maintain his zone control of protection for his team. Any others?
I mean, this is quite literally an all-star team, right? When we're talking about Vanix as well as Lolzy, we also can't forget about the fact that Kratisi is extremely consistent. Hades and Diablo very flexible when it comes down to being who is the win condition of each different series and games.
Of course, but looking at RSGSG, we also have, CS. I mentioned before, CS and Vanix, that's my kind of focus for today. His GPN not as high as Vanix. KD 5.11, very respectable. But any of these players stand out to you, Holler?
Derry. This is a guy where RSG, when they are flying high, it's when Derry is doing well. Okay, it tends to, when they play poorly, Derry tends to have an off game, right? So there's a lot of pressure on him. I think that a lot of the other players are very consistent. They know what they need to do. But I think that really, if Derry shines, this team is really going to make some waves.
That's true. And, Derry has been adapting as well to what his team needs, right? Previously, he was only really good at playing aggressive style supports like your Grok, like your Edith. But as of late, he's also switched to the Enchanter style of supports, where he's been playing the Rafaela, he's been playing, I think, the Matilda as well, So honestly speaking, both teams having extremely strong lineups. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to be crafting the games to get both together today.
I'm excited to see their growth, let's be honest here. They have quite a long road ahead of them, I gotta have to say, especially if they do not win this game against NIP Flash. They're gonna have to slug it all the way from the bottom to the top.
That is very, very true. RSG has gone through a lot this time around. The question is, when these two titans meet, we're going to have a bloodbath today, right? So enough from us, though. Let's see what the audiences have to say about this. And wow, it is closer than I thought, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely closer. I mean, I think that these are teams that are going in, and this is the upper bracket finals. Even if you lose, you're going to continue on. Yeah, you have a little bit more of a more difficult route ahead of you. You might have to play 2 matches going into tomorrow, which is very difficult and tiring. But this is the thing where, are you saving strats for this one? Or do you want to just go out and make sure that you're in the top 2 and get yourself into that grand finals? Or are you going to kind of play it safe a little bit?
That is very true. But looking at us today, guys, what this... 3. Okay, so all of us agree that NIP Flash should be taking it, but you guys really think it's going to be a 3-0?
I would want to believe that could happen, right? Because when it comes down to regular seasons, we've talked about it before. NIP Flash, they are just kind of fooling around. We have Lord Vanix that's quite literally playing every unique marksman that he could possibly play. We don't know what kind of ace they have within their sleeves, and I think that today, this is where they start to show some of their cards. In fact, I believe that this series, is not exactly a game of who is the better team, but it's more about the game of foresight and the game of attrition. Do they want to show everything in the cards again? Because there could be a very high chance that they will face again one another in the grand finals.
I also want to say something on my prediction. The reason why I predicted 3-0 is because NIP Flash has only lost 2 games, and that was to RSG Singapore. They have not lost a single game throughout, right? And seeing as that they're on this like mad train, they're going to be undefeated throughout, unless they lose 1 game, and then who knows when the wheels might come off.
Yeah, which is why I predicted a 3-1, right? Because to me, RSG SG has taken games off, Team Flash, NIP Flash before, and I believe that they will be able to do the same yet again. We just saw briefly on the screen the head-to-head between Vanix and CS. That is also my featured lane matchup for today. And honestly, yes, Vanix is looking a lot better when it comes to pure stats, but CS, man, this guy, when he gets going, he really will be able to carry the team on his back.
I mean, this is a team game after all. We did see Bleed versus RSG. We've got Seiji being ranked #1 when it comes down to GPM, and he performed flawlessly throughout the entire regular season. But when you put it closer, when we put CS versus Seiji, somehow we got RSG that managed to get himself the win because of teamwork.
Wait, you're calling this a team game? How come in my ranked games they're never like a team game? What is going on?
It depends on who you're playing with. Let's not talk about the time where we played together.
Yeah,
okay?
you were definitely not listening to me. I'm just saying.
Hey, let's just be honest here. Sometimes it's kind of hard to listen to you.
Shots fired, my friend. Shots fired.
Yes. But looking into the drafting phase, going into it, we have from RSG side bans Valentina and Roger, and for the side of NIP Flash, once again we actually have the respect ban of the Kadita for Godzilla, as well as the blanket ban of Harith on NIP Flash's side of things. Rounding up the bans from RSG, we have the Loi ban. Honestly, pretty standard picks and bans so far as of now. I am curious to see what NIP Flash's final ban is going to be.
At this point in time, I would say that they are just trying to finalize a bit more of, pretty much more of blanket bans, because when it comes down to both RSG as well as NIP Flash, both teams, they are pretty flexible and they do have a very wide hero pool. When it comes down to who they really want to eliminate, these are the heroes. At least for Valentina, Roger, as well as Loi. It doesn't necessarily give us a very strong idea as to what is the weakness within their composition or the weakness within their lineup. Because normally when it comes down to the banning phase, we have a very strong idea as to, is it because they are backline divers, is it because they are tanky, or is it because they create range, they have large range, etc.
This will be an easy game for us, says Bray. Wow, that is one spicy comment. But, they say actions speak louder than words, so I am looking forward to this game even more. But going into the picks, Moskov has been rising in popularity, especially during the latter half of MPL SG Season 7. Moskov has been a premier pick and actually was originally identified as the counter, so to say, against Roger. But on the other side of things, NIP Flash picking up the Farsa and the Tigreal.
And of course, on the other side, we do have the Terizla that's going to be picked up by RSG as well, hinting more on the side that closer than the EXP, as well as a Bray onto the Xbox. So understandably, whenever we see an Xbox, we are just assuming that it's more of a soft ban onto tanky heroes on the opposite side, and we can pretty much expect more of a backline dive coming in from the jungler, because for now, we haven't seen the jungler being picked up from the side of NIP Flash just yet. We still need some time for NIP Flash to kind of show their cards, perhaps later on.
Sorry, the player comment, Diablo with the call out. Bray, remember to wake up early for your lower bracket game tomorrow. I love it. I love it. Ex-teammates going at it.
Spice, baby, right? I mean, look, these two teams have a lot of history with one another, right? They've often, even previous seasons, they've often been looked at as team #1 and team #2. Right, so honestly, like I said, going to today feels like one of the matches to watch. If you don't tune in for any other of the matches, throughout the season, this is the match to watch, right? Speaking of which, Natan being rounded up as the first batch of picks and bans. Honestly, NIP Flash, the first 3 bans, the core 3 trio, looking really solid right now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, it really boils down, what we are looking out for is that all these three are very solid picks, and you can't possibly go wrong. But what is going to be the X factor when it comes down to these three players, or rather these three heroes? What are we going to be adding in to further improve this lineup in fighting against RSG? So at least for now, what they might be afraid of is going to be the dive when it comes down to Terizla as well as Moskov, the possibility of being able to jump over to the back lines. Terizla is able to disrupt Farsa, so they need someone that can really hold down the lines pretty effectively. Yes, they got Tigro, but Tigro, he will mostly be away from Farsa because you will want to look for these setup opportunities. So we will still need a rather tanky anchor coming in from Diablo, which is going to be playing on the EXP, and preferably someone that can work with some crowd control. Yuzhong with a Petrify, that could work too.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say Yuzhong with Petrify is going to be one of my top, I think, predictions coming in for the side of NIP Flash. If you've seen Diablo on it, it is one of his premier heroes that he plays, and he's shown us time and time again that he is proficient with the Yuzhong. But we'll see whether RSG agrees with us and decides to throw a ban to the side of Yuzhong. We do see a Benedetta ban, which is actually honestly interesting. Could actually reveal some of what RSG is trying to do by preventing some sort of split push strat. Keep in mind, Paquito is also still available.
And right as you said it. No more Paquito, no more Benedetta, and we can pretty much tell that RSG is really focusing quite a lot of their bans onto Diablo, assuming that he's going to be the one that really holds a very strong position in the team. As for Lapu Lapu, I can accept that, right? Because same thing, we just need an EXP lane that is sustainable, or the fact that he's able to be the anchor of the team while also having a good amount of crowd control. And Lapu Lapu fits the bill.
Yeah, not to mention the Lapu Lapu matchup against the Terizla is actually, in my opinion, slightly favored to Lapu Lapu. So Diablo is going to have a little bit of field day on his laning phase. Keep in mind, on the RSG SG side of things, we are still looking for the roam as well as the mid laner for the side of RSG SG. Going to be interesting to see how they want to play against the Farsa, because keep in mind, Farsa moves around the map. She's able to freely move around and have a lot of mobility. But we have Braze Ling coming out for the first match of this upper bracket finals, as well as the Florin, which we teased a little bit when we talked about Dairy picking Enchanter type supports. And I think this, honestly, this lineup coming up from RSG looking really good.
Okay, not exactly what I was expecting. They went full flex down onto the X-Borg pick. So now we are looking at Terizla that is going on to the middle lane, by the way. So the Terizla will be played by Godzilla, and this is very reminiscent to Jay playing the Terizla in the middle lane. So they're not necessarily going to be doing the typical stuff that we should be able to see, whereby they get themselves the lane priority, etc. But to close things out, we are also going to be looking at a Nolan that's being picked from the side of Hades, and we have seen the superior slippery menace that Hades have brought upon the Land of Dawn before.
Honestly, Nolan is one of the premier picks all across MPLs. Even in Philippines, even in Indonesia, Nolan is one of the highest picked heroes, and I'm so happy to see Hades piloting this in the first match of today. Speaking of which, we are heading straight into Game 1 of the upper bracket finals for MPL SG Season 7 RSG SG versus NIP Flash.
All right, going into this one, we know the drafts. We know you talked a lot about the intricacies of the different drafts. But if you had to just choose, which one has a somewhat easier time or easier composition to work with, who would you say?
Personally, I would say NIP Flash.
Yeah, I ditto that exact sentiment, because honestly, NIP Flash, they have range that they can deal with. Honestly, RSG is looking really short range, so they have to approach NIP Flash. But keep in mind, they've got they've got the Tigreal. NIP Flash has the Tigreal that can just shove them back and use its ultimate to keep them together. And we have skirmishes starting off.
Back. Godzilla already getting low. He flickers back. He's trying to get back to safety. Diablo, Hades, I don't think they're going to commit, and they've gone too far. Hades is the first to fall. Diablo's next on that list. Lalzi will just kind of walk back and just be like, hey, what happened, guys?
Very efficient movements coming in from the side of RSG, immediately responding to the call of duty whenever they saw someone that is in danger. In fact, NIP Flash started up with a pretty good initiation on the Lalzi.
The Blaze chops in. He gets stunned under tower. Doesn't even be careful, and Lalzi somehow survives. Woo!
Oh, that was so close. Bray hit level 4, by the way, in that first team fight. So he used the ultimate to try to get an early kill onto Lalzi, but unfortunately was not able to get anything more than that. And wow, RSG off to a very strong start.
It is. In fact, this start is not exactly what I'm expecting, because when it comes down to NIP Flash's lineup, they do have the very conventional start, whereby they have a mage in the middle lane, and understandably, when it comes down to mage, once they hit level 2, they already got the biggest power spike as compared to any other roles that is in the game. First skill and second skill are always going to be damage abilities, and it will always help them to work out with the early game engagements. Which is why when I see NIP Flash started in the team fight,
solo, Hades is going to take that one out, and touches the blades. He goes in, and it looks like closer. He's going to be focused here. The spear's a little off the mark, and now RSG are going to back off.
What a steal coming in from the side of Hades. Bray decided that, you know, look, I have the level advantage, so I should be able to win the Restream fight. But Hades hits level 4 right as the turtle was down to half HP, so Hades decides to scoot on over and manages to steal it with his Retribution. And guys, Brave Smite on Dairy, Lauren?
Brave Smite on Florid. Well, it pretty much just assume, for me, I would just assume that he would want to have probably a better time when it comes down to laning together with the Moskov. Or perhaps it's just more of a better survivability throughout the entire game, just so that he has more time that is always going to be around. But the problem is,
does need to be careful. He's going to back off. He's going to be fine.
It's fine. But the problem when it comes down to Florin is that whenever I look at Florin, I will always assume that the best way to use a Florin is when your team actually utilizes healing capabilities, regen, spell vamps. But unfortunately, RSG doesn't really quite have that. So the only thing I can expect is only when CS picks up a Heart's Claws for himself, and that is probably the only time where the anti-regen debuff will be shredded off.
Yeah, in the bottom lane, looks like they're going to go. Lalzi gets the nice stun. He's been charged, but he's going to go down. Bray will get credit. Derry trying to walk into it, and Hades actually cuts him off, and Bray gets over the wall. He's going to be fine.
Lots of mini skirmishes happening all across the map. There is no room for us to take a breather, man. These teams are bashing heads against each other, and you know, we are seeing just so much death on the field. But even then, only 300 gold lead to RSG so far. Honestly, we'll probably see the next fight in about 2 seconds or so when the turtle spawns.
Right now, we got
Hades going in. Feathered airstrike right on. Hit does connect onto Derry. And Hades now, he's going to be jumped off from the backside. Godzilla running after him. And Hades does get away.
Not a lot of HP to work with, but we do have the turtle that is currently available at the northern side. So it really depends on whether Hades will be able to get enough HP back in order to really take onto this turtle fight. But EXP wise, we gotta have to look out for this because Bray is currently at level 7 and Hades just okay, no, both of them are level 7, so it's not too bad of a deal.
Lalzi gets him, lines him up with Bray. Diablo going in for this one as well. Closer trying to back off the feathered airstrike. He's trying to connect onto this one, but Lalzi's so low. Closer going down to the ends of the earth to get him, but he might have gone too far. He's